Joining me now to talk about this camera found in the washing machine, which I call the smoking gun in the case, criminal defense attorney from here in Phoenix, Dwane Cates, criminal defense attorney in New York, Jodi Jackson, and in-session contributor and law enforcement analyst Mike Brooks. So, I call it the smoking gun. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but Dwane Cates, what is she doing, and why is she? How is she? Why is she carrying a camera during this assault?
It's the strangest thing that I've ever seen in any case that I've ever seen. I've never seen a person have a camera in their hand while they're committing a crime and accidentally take pictures of it. And again, I can't see how Jodi Arias could be having this camera in her hand while she's stabbing him, while she's dragging him down the hall. I just don't know how it can happen. It just doesn't seem to make any sense to me at all.
Well, it looks like she's wearing some sweatpants that kind of have a bell bottom, right, from the accidental photo, Exhibit 162, I think it is. Maybe she's got a sweatshirt on with pocket, right? Could have been in a pocket. 2 of the 3 photos were taken upside down, so it fell on the ground. I guess that's possible. Jodi Jackson, from what you know about the evidence in this case, without that camera and those restored photos, do you think this case could have been charged as a first-degree premeditated murder?
You know what, Beth, a wonderful question, but yes, I do, is the answer, because there's so much other evidence you can look to, you know, beginning with the rent-a-car, also with regard to the .25 caliber gun with the grandfather, you know, her grandparents and coming there. Certainly it may be more difficult to have charged it that way, but I still think that there's enough evidence, even in the absence of these horrific, terrible, gut-wrenching photos, to have proceeded under this theory, and I think ultimately to secure conviction with or without the photos.
Okay, Mike Brooks, let's assume Jodi Jackson is right. You're looking at this case, you're an investigator, you've got her road trip, you don't have anything in Arizona. You don't have anyone seeing her there, you have the photos placing her there on June 4th, you have her in Utah, you have her in Pasadena, she kept receipts to track her road trip, but nothing in Arizona. You have her arriving late to Utah. I mean, really? You still think you could call it a premeditated murder? Not maybe just second degree, or, I mean...
Oh, hell yes. Are you kidding me? With that, going back to the May 28th when she you know, and I think she stole the gun in this mock burglary that she made it look like a burglary, but left 3 other guns there. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying it that she didn't break into the house or she set that up. And then, yeah, you don't have any receipts at all because she wasn't anywhere there. But she now admits it. This is all signs of premeditation, Beth. And then she goes up to Salt Lake City, West Jordan, and she talks to one of her friends. And the friend sits in the car with the Kool-Aid stained seats in the rental car that she's rented. And she goes and tells her friend, "Oh yeah, well Travis wanted me to come down, but I didn't go." Come on, she knew exactly what she was doing. Total premeditation, and then she returns the car. I mean, it starts with the rental car. It starts right with the rental car. Yeah. You heard Mr. Colombo talk about that. You know, oh, I don't know. I'm just going to be around town, but I don't want that red car. I want a white car.
Okay, but Mike, it's one thing to rely on your police instincts and say, you know what, she planned this thing. It's another thing to prepare a case for trial with proof. You may know that it's premeditated. You can be able to convince 12 jurors. Let me go to Dwane Cates with this. Dwane,
yes?
Without the camera, do you really think that this could have been a premeditated murder?
I think they would have had a hard time. One of my favorite sayings, though, is that you have the right to remain silent, but are you smart enough to do so? and Jodi Arias should have just kept her mouth shut. If she'd have kept her mouth shut the whole time and just said, you know what, I'm not making any statements, sorry guys, then I think, and without the camera, I think they would have had no case at all.
Refused to speak to the police, not call them voluntarily in June, the day his body was found, the day after June 25th, not talk to them when she was arrested, and get rid of the camera.
Well, you know, and one thing, I never tell my clients to refuse to talk to the police. I tell them to say, I would be happy to talk to the police, but my lawyer won't let me.
All right, okay, good advice.
Heard that one before.
All right, let me ask you this. Mike Brooks, I have had a number of fans, viewers write in on my Facebook page with their opinions about the photos. And I posed a question whether or not she accidentally threw the camera in the washing machine with the clothes or intentionally. I mean, she gets rid of the gun and the knife. Why not get rid of this camera even though she's deleted the photos? And I'm wondering, why did the roommates, like, they didn't wash for 5 days? It's still in there. But more importantly, of the photos of Travis Alexander in the shower, the 19 of them alive, and there's one of them you see the close-up of his face, a couple you see his face, side view, and then straight on into camera. There are some people who think that he's got fear in his eyes, that maybe he sees the gun already or a knife or something. What do you think? There's still there's a minute and 10 seconds before the photo of the ceiling. So, but from him sitting until the photo in the ceiling. So it would be a long time, a whole minute.
Exactly. And if you look at the picture, look at this picture right there, Beth, and then you look at other pictures that are taken of him. He never has a smile on his face. He has sometimes a smirk. Sometimes he looks like this. But of all the photos I've seen, I've never seen a big smiling grin on his face when he's been with Jodi Arias or any other pictures we've seen. So, you know, I don't know. I don't think that was the case, but we'll never know.
Well, maybe even vacation photos, he wasn't smiling.
No, he really wasn't that much of a smile. No, I mean, if you look at all his expressions, you never see a. There you go. See, you never see a big, broad smile on his face. So I've been looking at all these pictures, and I've never seen a. And there's not. That's about the biggest smile I've seen, Beth, and that one right there.
Okay.
That's about it.
Okay.
There's a lot of people
enough.
that just
Maybe
don't smile.
Didn't like to smile.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Maybe he didn't. Okay, so I don't know if I agree with all you guys. I think this would be a very different prosecution if that camera wasn't there. That camera placed her there. That camera told investigators the day he died, the time he died. Now, what about the date and time stamp? Another viewer had posed a question, well, how do we know it was accurate, the date and time stamp? But I think her statements kind of confirmed that because she admitted ultimately being there and having sex with him in the afternoon, and the naked photos are in the afternoon, right? Would you agree? Joe, any of you? Joey?
Yeah.
You know what? I have to tell you, it's interesting as we have this discussion. You know why, Beth? Because, you know, when a client comes to see you, so many times the damage is done. A statement's already been made, right? They've already done things that you wish you could rewind and reverse, but the facts and the evidence is ultimately what it is, and here it's compelling. But I do agree that when you have something that's timestamped, but of course you can challenge that, Beth, right? You could say, listen, you don't know if it's accurate. You don't know if the camera was calibrated. So there's various ways and methods to attack, but I love the discussion you're having, Beth, because, boy, sometimes I sit and I say, if only I could change one fact, another fact, life would be different and you wouldn't have been convicted. But, you know, here we have what we have, and I think ultimately on the strength of it, Beth, it's going to be very difficult for the defense to overcome.
Right, and Dwayne, and we're almost running out of time here, but what can the defense do with these photographs?
Well, they can attack the date stamp because if the time and date weren't accurate on the camera on the day they found it, then the date and time stamps may be completely off. And also the pictures show that they were having a good time, and then something happened. The camera shooting up to the ceiling is consistent with her dropping the camera and Mr. Alexander being angry with her.
He's dead within 2 minutes, and I mean, she didn't have time to run somewhere and get a gun and a knife. He didn't chase her through the house, and she stabbed him in the kitchen. She went in there with weapons, it seems. So, I don't know. It's yeah. Well, anyway, trying to get inside her head is something that is impossible to do. So I want to thank all of you, well, almost all of you. Mike Brooks is staying with us, but Joey Jackson and Dwane Cates, thank you so much for your insight. Always love the discussion.